Ever felt like you're standing on the doorstep of a massive, well-guarded vault, and you know there's incredible power and potential inside, but you just can't find the key? That's precisely how some developers feel when they first encounter the RingCentral API. It's a treasure trove of communication functionalities, a way to integrate robust calling, messaging, and meeting capabilities directly into your applications. But before you can start building those groundbreaking integrations, before you can send a message, make a call, or even check a user's status, there's a crucial first step, a necessary handshake: authentication. Without proper authentication, the RingCentral API is a closed book. It's like trying to order room service without being a guest at the hotel. You're simply not recognized. And while the concept of authentication might sound a bit dry, a bit technical, it's actually the bedrock of secure and functional API interactions. Think of it as your digital passport, your VIP pass to unlock all the RingCentral services. Today, we're going to demystify this essential process. We're going to explore not just how to authenticate, but also why different methods exist and when you should use them. By the end of this video, you'll be confidently navigating the authentication landscape, ready to build incredible things with the RingCentral API. So, what exactly are we talking about when we say authenticate? In the simplest terms, it's the process by which your application proves its identity to the RingCentral platform and, in return, receives permission to access specific resources on behalf of a user or itself. RingCentral, like many modern APIs, employs the OAuth 2.0 framework for authentication. Now, if OAuth 2.0 sounds intimidating, don't worry. We're going to break it down into digestible pieces. At its core, OAuth 2.0 is about delegated authorization. It allows an application to act on behalf of a user without ever needing the user's actual username and password. This is a huge security win. Instead, the application receives an access token, a temporary, unique credential that grants specific permissions. Think of it like a valet key for your car. You give the valet a key that lets them park your car, but it doesn't give them access to your entire house. Similarly, an access token grants your application limited, defined permissions. Now, within the OAuth 2.0 framework, RingCentral primarily supports a few different grant types, each designed for specific use cases. Let's dive into the two most common and powerful ones: the authorization code flow and the password flow. First, let's talk about the authorization code flow. This is arguably the most secure and recommended method for web applications and mobile applications where a user interacts directly with your application in a browser or on their device. Here's how it generally works. User initiation. Your application redirects the user to the RingCentral authorization server. This is where the user logs in to their RingCentral account. Consent. After successful login, RingCentral displays a consent screen, asking the user to grant your application specific permissions, e.g., allow this app to send messages on your behalf. The user explicitly approves these permissions. Authorization code. If the user grants consent, RingCentral redirects the user back to your application with a temporary authorization code. This code is extremely short-lived and can only be used once. Token exchange. Your application then takes this authorization code and, from its back-end server, crucially, not from the user's browser or device, sends it to RingCentral's token endpoint along with your application's client ID and client secret. The client secret is a highly confidential credential that should never be exposed client-side. Access token and refresh token. If everything is valid, RingCentral responds with an access token and, often, a refresh token. The access token is what you'll use to make API calls. It has a limited lifespan, typically an hour. The refresh token, on the other hand, is much longer lived and can be used to obtain new access tokens when the current one expires, without requiring the user to re-authenticate. The authorization code flow is fantastic because it separates the user's credentials from your application. Your application never sees the user's username or password, significantly reducing security risks. It's the gold standard for public clients. Next up, we have the password flow, sometimes referred to as the resource owner password credentials grant. This flow is generally used for trusted applications, particularly those where the user directly trusts your application with their RingCentral credentials. Think of desktop applications or command line tools. Here's the simplified process. User credentials. Your application directly collects the user's RingCentral username and password. Direct exchange. Your application sends these credentials, along with your client ID and client secret, directly to RingCentral's token endpoint, access token and refresh token. If the credentials are valid, RingCentral returns an access token and a refresh token. While simpler to implement, the password flow comes with a significant caveat. Your application handles the user's sensitive credentials directly. This places a greater responsibility on your application to handle these credentials securely. For this reason, it's generally discouraged for public clients like web browsers or mobile apps where the client-side code might be compromised. Use it only when you have a high level of trust and control over your application's environment. Beyond these two core flows, it's also important to understand the concept of client credentials flow. This flow is used when your application needs to access RingCentral resources that are not tied to a specific user. For example, if you're building an application that simply needs to fetch account-wide information or manage extensions without a user explicitly logging in. In this case, your application authenticates itself using its client ID and client secret to obtain an access token. There's no user involved in the authentication process. It's purely application to application. Now, regardless of the flow you choose, once you have that precious access token, you'll include it in the authorization header of every subsequent API request you make. The format is typically bearer, your_access_token. RingCentral servers will then validate this token, and if it's valid and has the necessary permissions, your request will be processed. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.